everyone, this is Spencer with H4O, and for this week's Weekly Wisdom video, I want to talk about privilege. Now, privilege is a buzzword. We all hear it every day. It's commonly discussed on college campuses and society at large, but I don't want to get into all the specifics and the different types of privilege. Today what I want to do is bring up a type of privilege that perhaps you haven't thought much about, and it's this privilege of having access to resources. You might say, well, what do you mean by that? Well, before I started H4O, and really the inspiration for starting H4O, some friends and I were on a trip to Belize where we were basically staying for a few days in a small little town. It was incredibly remote, 100 families living there, no electricity, dirt floors, all these families. And we realized pretty quickly, I'm sure some of you have heard this story before, that they were walking miles and miles every single day to a river where the water was so dirty that it was more like sewage. It looked more like coffee than it actually did water. And we thought to ourselves, why doesn't somebody do something about this? How can this reality exist, right? I mean, why doesn't the government of Belize come in and bring them clean water? Why don't they go and raise some money to put a well in their community or whatnot? And we realized very quickly that they had no access to resources. There was no government that was going to come in and give them a grant to bring them clean water. They weren't close to any villages that had money, so they couldn't go and say, hey, would you please help me out? And they couldn't just go and fundraise and set up a crowdfunding campaign for, well in this community in Belize. They didn't have access to any of that stuff. And it hit me in that moment that, wow, we are so privileged in America and the Western world to have access to resources, to be able to go and set up a crowdfunding campaign and raise money for a cause, to start a business, to go get a loan from a bank. To go to, if we start, an app or a startup or something like that, to go to a venture capital fund and basically say, hey, fund me. We have so much access to resources, and it really is an incredible blessing, one that I think we often don't give it its due part. So thanks for listening. I hope that maybe this has provided you with another perspective and another way that we just are so privileged and blessed here in the United States.